The bell rings. School lets out for the day as I throw my backpack over my shoulder and head outside, surrounded by a mass of my classmates, chatting loudly as they scatter in every direction. I begin my long walk home, as I do every day, the majority of which spans across a crooked sidewalk paved along the base of a dense forest. I only walk a few blocks away from school before I'm interrupted by a boy quietly trying to get my attention from just beyond the tree line. I stop and focus on the boy, half ducked behind some bushes, as if he had been hiding. He looked to be about my age, but I didn't recognize his face. I stare at him for a short moment, trying to recall ever seeing him at school, when he motions for me to come over. Innocently enough, I step into the threshold of the woods, shrugging my sliding backpack over my shoulder. As I approach, the boy suspiciously looks around, acting slightly paranoid. I can still hear the many voices of my classmates laughing and yelling from over on the school lawn. He tiptoes out from behind the bushes and slides out in front of me. Now standing face to face, I'm sure that I've never seen him in school before. Still looking around in a tone of paranoia, the boy asks, "Do you want to see something cool?" painting a devilish grin on his face as he waits for my response. As naive as I am, I allow curiosity to get the better of me. I nod my head and casually say yes. "Cool," the boy says, suddenly acting unsuspicious of his surroundings. "Follow me," he says invitingly, then turns his back to the sidewalk and heads into the woods. He waves his hand at me to catch up before I have time to decide if I really want to follow him or not. Feeling rushed, I choose to jog up to his fast pace and shrug off any concern. It isn't long until the voices coming from the school are replaced entirely by the sounds of leaves and branches rustling from under our feet. All along the way, the boy reassuring me that I'm gonna like what he has to show me, and that I would be the first person to get to see it. "What is it?" I ask through my curiosity, feeling like my answer would be better than just going home and watching TV. But with his reply, I'm proven wrong. He stops and makes a point of putting on a childlike expression of seriousness, looking all around as if someone else was listening, which was, of course, a bit silly, given how deep in the woods we were standing. I format myself to his mood, gripping the straps of my backpack and focusing my attention on him. He starts off with a light breath and says, "About a week ago, a kid was riding stowaway on the train into town when he hopped off at what he saw as a good opportunity to land on the soft ground of the forest grass. He landed feet first beside the steep tracks." He pauses briefly, taking a moment to showcase a look of even more seriousness before finishing. The kid searches for the right direction into town when he's suddenly pummeled by something sticking off the side of the train, sending him flying and tumbling down the side of the hill the track sat on. I clench the straps of my backpack tightly and cringe at the thought. When the boy sees my chilled reaction, a grin returns to his face. Then he says, "And now the kid's body is lying at the bottom of the hill, not far from here. You're gonna get to be the first person to see it." He says it as if it's somehow a good thing, finding a dead body. As if I should be excited by it, which I'm definitely not. Though at this point, standing this deep in the woods, I wasn't going to turn back without seeing it. So I suggest we get back to walking, and I follow his lead once more. The roughly 25-minute walk through the trees feels like forever. Now that I'm aware of where we're going, thoughts of mangled, distorted dead bodies circulate through my head, more with each step I take. I only begin to wonder how this boy knows so much of what happened without actually being there. Then I start to wonder if he could have been with him when it happened. Did he just happen to walk by at the right time? Was he riding the train as well? I even contemplated the thought of him shoving him off the train. But I quickly discredit that theory as I realize he would have no reason to show me if he was the one to blame. All the same though, I'm plagued by my imagination until we finally reach an obvious landmark. The train tracks. We're almost there, the boy tells me, speeding his pace over the wooden crossboards laid out along the tracks. We follow the tracks a few hundred feet, walking on the boards built on top of the steep hill he described. Looking at it, it was easy to see how someone could fall to their death from its dangerous height. The boy stops and begins sliding down the side of the hill, skating his way down the dirt and rocks. This is obviously the spot, so I cautiously follow his path, nearly falling backwards as I guide myself down the dirt hill behind him. Once I reach the bottom, I find the boy staring back at me, with his hand holding onto some loose branches draped over a cluster of small bushes. He once again paints a devilish grin on his face and asks me if I'm ready. I grip my backpack straps even tighter and hesitantly nod yes. He then starts lifting up branches and tossing them aside, one after another, loudly shaking off dead leaves as he clears the ground in front of him. I can almost see the shape of the body start to reveal through the boy's legs. I take a fearful step forward to lean in for a better look. He continues pulling up branches as I get a clearer view of the dirt-covered torso, lying face up in between the bushes. The boy finally removes the last branch and steps off to the side, revealing the body to me in its entirety. I instantly feel more shocked than I had anticipated. The body was badly bruised and beaten, likely from the rumble down the hill, with the face being possibly the most damaged. The eyes were still open and directed towards the sky with a cold, glossed-over look about it. But that's not the part that chilled me down to the bone. It's the look of the face itself that startled me, paralyzing my stare until I pieced together the strange things the boy had told me on the way here. All the while, he quietly watches my reaction, looking amused by my shock. The boy was on the train, and I must be the first one to see this, because the dead body lying in the bushes was the body of the boy standing right next to me.